I'll explain the social equity program, which is known as Cannabis Pontiac. Talk about the three focus areas, which are ownership and licensing, business and workforce development, social equity participation recognition. We'll discuss the City of Pontiac Social Equity Fund, social equity plans, social equity participation requirements. And then if anyone has any questions, we'll allow for questions. And then if anyone actually is a potential applicant, we will allow for technical assistance after that if you have any particular questions as it relates to your particular application or potential application. So why do we need a social equity program? Ordinance 2424, which is the City of Pontiac's adult use business ordinance, requires it. How do someone qualify for the social equity program? By being a social equity qualified business. What is a social equity qualified business in Pontiac? To qualify, applicants must meet the criteria under the state of Michigan or City of Pontiac, and the City of Pontiac requires that you demonstrate and document 51% or more ownership. And that's including the ownership structure of your entity. So the state of Michigan requirement is residents in a disproportionately impacted community for at least 5 cumulative years, a misdemeanor conviction of a marijuana-related offense, a felony conviction of a marijuana-related offense, or registration as a primary caregiver under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act for at least 2 years of the last 5 years. What is this City of Pontiac Social Equity Program? So the Social Equity Program has been named Cannabis Pontiac for 2024, a resolution 24-222. And pursuant to Ordinance 2424, the Social Equity Program is to promote and encourage participation and ownership in the marijuana industry by local residents that have been disproportionately impacted by marijuana prohibition and enforcement, and that positively impacts local residents. As I stated, our program is called Cannabis Pontiac, and it has 3 program areas. The 3 program areas are ownership and licensing, which are the social equity retailer licenses, business and workforce development, and social equity participation recognition. As it relates to the ownership and licensing focus area, the social equity retailer permit licenses, the city is allowing for 6 social equity retailers throughout the 4 overlay zoning districts. So those overlay zoning districts are the Walton Boulevard Overlay District. 2 social equity permits will be allowed in that district. 2 will be allowed in the Cesar Chavez Overlay District, 1 downtown, and 1 in the Woodward Gateway Overlay District. So here are the overlay district maps. This is the Walton map. So what is highlighted in green is the overlay district, and 2 social equity retailer permits are available in that district. It's the same for Cesar Chavez. The highlighted green area identifies the overlay district, and again, 2 social equity permits are available in that district. And then in the downtown overlay district, in the Woodward Avenue overlay district, 1 social equity retailer permit is allowed in each one of those districts. So we will be offering technical assistance to social equity applicants. Today is actually a technical assistance opportunity for potential social equity applicants. And the purpose of our technical assistance services is to assist social equity retailers through the life cycle of a social equity permit. Okay. The business and workforce development focus area has three major goals. It's to promote job training for low-income residents, job training for residents interested in the cannabis industry, small business development for residents interested in the cannabis industry. So Cannabis Pontiac understands that marijuana, the prohibition of marijuana has had a detrimental impact on many of the lives of the residents in the city of Pontiac. So now that cannabis is actually legal in our state and in our city, we want to make sure that residents in the city actually benefit from the program. We know a number of residents will not be directly involved in the industry. So therefore, we want to offer some services. One of those services is job training services for residents are available. So individuals 18 or older who are U.S. citizens and Pontiac residents, we will be offering job training services through Cannabis Pontiac. Again, like teaching basic skills, interview skills, and on-the-job types of training so that they will be able to improve their potential quality of life. Then, as it relates to those residents who actually want to be involved in the cannabis industry, offering the ability for preparing them for actual jobs in the cannabis industry or small business opportunities. So maybe you have a marketing a business or some other kind of business services that you're providing, maybe a cleaning business or something like that. So working with those businesses so to potentially open up opportunities where you can service people who are actually um, have cannabis licenses. And then the final focus area of the Cannabis Pontiac program will be social equity participation recognition. So what is social equity participation? A social equity participation is where permitting must make good faith efforts in hiring employees who have been negatively impacted by marijuana prohibition. The adult use recreational marijuana businesses should use good faith efforts to hire and retain 25% of its employees who are low income or live in the city of Pontiac. And we feel it's very important that the businesses that ultimately will get the licenses, that they maintain their commitments to the city. So we will be recognizing and publishing this information once the businesses get up and running. So a cannabis business will be recognized in the following manner. So if you retain higher than a 25% workforce that is low income or live in the city of Pontiac, then you'll be receiving a grade A. Grade B will be reserved for those who retain a 25%, and then grade C are those who are showing less than a 25 percentage. And the purpose of this recognition program is where citizens will know those who actually um, use or buy cannabis will actually know which businesses are actually fulfilling their social equity commitments. So once the program gets up and running, we will be encouraging the businesses to display what grade that they're in actually have received. What is the Social Equity Fund? So those were the three focuses of Cannabis Pontiac. So in addition to that, the City Council put in the adult use ordinance, established a social equity fund. So this fund will be administered by the city. The purpose of the fund is to promote social equity in the city. And this is one of the ways in which the adult use marijuana businesses can fulfill the ordinance requirements for planned philanthropic initiatives and community improvement programs by making a donation to the fund. So the mission of the fund is to promote social equity in Pontiac, criminal justice advocacy, supporting youth who have been negatively impacted by the war or drugs related to the prohibition of marijuana, community education and outreach on adult use marijuana. So the types of potential programs that the Equity Fund will support are reentry and restorative justice programs, adult use cannabis education forums, cannabis use youth prevention programs, because we want to make sure, although cannabis is legal. It is not legal for under 18. So we want to make sure that we're not encouraging the use of cannabis by children that are, under 18 and after school programs. Ordinance 2424 has some requirements. You have to, and this is a requirement for all applicants, whether you are a social equity applicant or a non-social equity applicant. All applicants, because this was something that was really important to the city council, all applicants must have a social equity plan as a part of their application and must also have social equity participation requirements. So what is a social equity plan? A social equity plan is a plan that promotes and encourages participation and ownership in the marijuana industry by local residents that have been, disproportionately impacted and positively impacts local residents. So when we started our medical process, there was a community benefits component. So this is similar to that you must, in essence, make some commitments, and they need to be identified in the plan. And then as it relates to social equity participation, again, I had mentioned that when I talked about how we'll be recognizing those that do have social equity participation. Businesses must make marijuana businesses, whether you're grower, processor, secure transporter, safety compliance, or any other type of retailer, you must make good faith efforts and retain at least 25% employees who are low income or live in the city of Pontiac. So at this time, if anyone has any questions, we will take those questions about the social equity program. And that's just about Cannabis Pontiac in general. If you have anything specific to technical assistance, that will be after this portion. So are there any questions?
Let's see. Hello?
Yes.
Chris Northcross here. I have a question about the definition of local residents, and also about maybe resident associations. Is there going to be any formal definition of residence? Is it just geographic location, or is there any type of requirement about contacting the residents or the associations that are there?
So, Mr. Northcross, there is a component, and this is not a part of the social equity program, but there is a component in the application that requires applicants to build relationships with community organizations, and they must have meetings with community organizations in the city. And we will be working on establishing, because right now the city does not have a formal registration process. We know there are a number of community organizations that have been functioning in the city for a number of years, but there is no official process. So we'll be working on establishing a process where community organizations can register with the city, so where you can be notified of meetings and that these groups will have to work. And I can defer to Attorney Murphy or Attorney McDonald if you want to further elaborate about community organizations.
Okay, and I should do that offline?
No. They're here now.
Oh, yes. Please.
I think on your first question on local residents, I think it is a geographic thing. You got to establish that you're have some type of residence, whether it's a personal residence or a business location within the city boundaries, to qualify as a local resident.
And is there a requirement that the operation, the 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 cannabis, the licensee, that they licensee that they go out to these different residents and resident associations and make contact with them initially to make sure everyone knows they're there and how to communicate with them.
Well, under the adult use ordinance, if you're a licensed social equity retailer, you have an obligation to have a meeting once a year with local residents or organizations that are located within 1,500 feet of your operation. And you have to give written notice of that annual meeting to the city clerk's office in advance of the meeting, and then, have that meeting. So you would have an obligation to try to identify any organization, aside from the local residents that are located within 1,500 feet of your facility or establishment, in order to comply with that provision in the ordinance.
Okay.
And that provision is not just for social equity businesses, it's for all marijuana businesses must have a meeting at least once per year.
Okay.
You also have to identify, the person at your business that would field questions outside of that 1-year requirement. So if somebody in the neighborhood or a neighborhood organization, has a question about loitering or some other issue regarding your operations, they have a person they can contact to address their concerns. And that's outside of the requirement of the 1-year meeting.
Do you happen to know that ordinance number offhand or not? I can look it up probably, but if you have it offhand.
It's 2424, but if you go to City of Pontiac, just Google marijuana, you'll get Clerk Doyle's page, and there's links to the licensing ordinance, the zoning ordinance, and a lot of other information that can, provide you the information that you need.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the social equity fund. My
Yes.
question is, now, is that related to the buildings of anything, or is that just to programs?
So it's if I understand your question correctly.
So, well, let me
Go ahead.
elaborate a little bit more. So, to say, like, all right, if I was to have an event that was geared towards the social equity, or if I was looking for an establishment so I can host something for social equity, what would the fund go towards? Like, is it specifically for the events that meet these criteria, or is it wide range that the funds can go to?
So the social equity fund is limited to supporting, because that was the way that the fund was established, is limited to supporting criminal justice advocacy, supporting youth who have been negatively impacted, in community education and outreach on adult use marijuana. So once the fund is established, and the amount of the fund will be basically whatever the applicants, there's a portion in the application where applicants have to make a philanthropic or community improvement commitment to the city. So this is one option, not the only option. There are other options. So we don't know what the size of the fund will be until after the applications have been reviewed and who are ultimately the people selected. Then if there's been interest by any of those applicants to make an investment in the fund, that's how much money we'll know we'll have in the fund. So let's just say the fund could have $5,000 in it. It could have 50,000. It really just depends upon how the applications turn out. But after we find out what's in the fund, then we will establish a criteria for, in a sense, awarding grants from the fund. So does
There's an
that answer
incentive
your
in the
question?
scoring. Yeah, there's an incentive in the scoring for applicants to contribute to that fund because they get extra points in the competitive scoring process if they make a contribution to the social equity fund.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Are there any other questions?
My question was in the chat. I just wanted to get clarification. So, but I think we've already covered my question.
Couldn't totally clearly understand you. I'm sorry.
Hey, can you turn up your volume a little bit?
Give me one moment. Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. I was just saying that I believe that we covered my question. I did type it in the chat, but I believe we covered it. I just have one more question. So if I have like I am a Pontiac resident, a longtime resident, but I may have partners that reside in a different part of Michigan, would that still be okay?
Yes.
Go ahead.
If you're in a disproportionate, if your other partners are in a disproportionately impacted community, and there's a list published by the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, they could qualify with you to meet the criteria for the social equity fund and participation. So it's not just limited to Pontiac residents in terms of qualifying as a social equity business.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then, are there any micro business or small business grants catered to Pontiac residents? Or?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you on that one.
I said, is there any small business or micro business grants or programs for Michigan or Pontiac residents?
Aside from the fund that we have, there's no other financing program. The state Cannabis Regulatory Agency has a social equity program, which provides some financial relief with regard to state licensing fees. And they also provide training in this space also. So there's a parallel training and financial assistance that you can obtain from the city of Pontiac regarding our social equity fund, but also the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. And they have regular meetings, but you can reach out to them by going to their website and contacting the persons that run that social equity program for the state.
Thank you for that. Is there a way that you could, I guess I could look that up online. I was thinking, could you enter that website or information in the chat?
Not really good at Microsoft Teams. If you could send us your email in the chat, and then I can email it to you sometime today.
Were there any more? Oh, I'm sorry. Did anyone else have a general question?
Question.
Hi, Clerk. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Question. I'm just coming. I don't know if it's near the end of the workshop, but would any follow-up be for those who wanted to see what took place at the workshop? Is there any way you can follow up and get information on it?
What I will do is post the slides that we covered on the city's website on the city clerk's marijuana regulations page. And we are recording this session, so we're going to try to upload the recording as well too.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. I
And
believe
that
someone
answered
else
my
had a question.
question as well. Thank you, Clerk Doyle.
Okay. So if no one else has a general question, we did say for the potential social equity applicants that technical assistance would be available. So if you have any questions related to your potential application to for one of the 6 available social equity retailer license, this would be the time to ask those questions.
Oh, I have a question about the application. I don't know if you
Yes.
guys can hear me. Um, so I did get a notification that you guys had reopened it, and if there was is it 21 days to get the applications in? Is there going to be another extension, or I think the due date would be what, the 23rd, if I'm correct?
That is correct. So the 21-day application period started on December 2nd and it ends on December 23rd at 4:30 p.m. So you have to have, you have to have your application in no later than December 23rd at 4:30 p.m. to be considered.
And are the prerequisites? Hold on just 1 second. I want to get my question completely correct.
Erica, I just sent you that link to the CRA social equity page.
Thank you. I apologize. I just want to make sure I get it. So before turning in our application, we do have to have that the pre-approval license. Is that correct?
No, as long as you get pre-qualified by the time you apply for a permit, the policy of the city is to allow you to have that in process. But you won't get a final permit unless you get pre-qualified.
Okay, so I have to have the pre-qualification completed first before turning in the actual application for the license.
No, you can submit the application, but you won't receive a permit as part of the processing of it until you get pre-qualified.
Okay, got it. Understood.
And if you haven't applied for pre-qualification previously, once you submit the pre-qualification application, and the forms for that are online at the Cannabis Regulatory Agency website, you can submit it online, or you have to submit it online at this point in time. The process can take anywhere from 45 to 90 days. A lot of it's dependent upon you submitting all the documents they're seeking, and then typically they have questions and require you to supplement your responses or your documents before they'll make a decision on your pre-qualification.
Yikes. Okay.
And the social equity link that I sent to you, they will assist you in preparing the pre-qualification application. They have videos online showing you how to do it, but you can also consult directly with one of their representatives.
Okay, so at this point, I would just do both applications simultaneously because of the processing time for the pre-approval?
Yeah, if you intend on applying, I would work on the pre-qualification right away. It's a process that if you haven't done it before, it's going to take you a couple of days to put everything together.
Okay, thank you.
And the other thing, Erica, too, the normal fee for getting pre-qualified, the state will they have a reduced fee for pre-qualification applications under their social equity program.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Were there any other questions in regards to technical assistance for social equity applicants?
Um, and I believe, okay, I think there was a portion in the application that had something to do with, say we got a location that needed some type of rehab. Would that get us extra points for rehabbing a building?
I'm sorry, Eric, I had a hard time hearing you.
I know on the application, the license for the consumption and micro business, if we were to rehab a business or rehab a building, that would get us extra points on the application.
Yes, if you're rehabbing a building that's been vacant under the criteria of that section, you can get an additional 10 points. And if you're rehabbing a building that's been, it meets the definition of blighted or dangerous under the Pontiac City Code, that can also qualify for an additional 10 points. The city will be publishing today on its website a definition of blighted and dangerous as it's applied under the city code. So there's two different scoring categories for that. One is on vacant property, either a building or a vacant land, and the other one is on a blighted or dangerous building. And I posted in the chat the link to the Cannabis Regulatory Agency Social Equity Program so that everybody can access that. And there's a plethora of information in there about all aspects of the state social equity program, which is Pontiac's going to coordinate its efforts with the state program.
Did anyone else have a technical assistance question in regards to a social equity application?
Oh, well, I do have one more. And the app, just to be clear, the application fee is $5,000.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, is that reduced for? Is that the is that a reduced fee, or is that like you get some type of credit for being a Pontiac resident?
For the city of Pontiac, it is not reduced. For the state of Michigan, they do have a reduced fee for the pre-qualification application, which normally costs $6,000. The fee structure at the state would be on their webpage that I sent to you. I can't recall off the top of my head what it is, but it's a significant reduction at the state level. But the city of Pontiac, the $5,000 fee for the city is basically simply to cover its administrative expenses for administering the program and reviewing applications and then going through the process of issuing a permit to a establishment.
Okay, thank you so much.
Are there any other questions? Again, did anyone else have a question? Well, if no one else has a question, I would like to thank everyone for attending this virtual workshop. And again, we will post the slides as well as the recording of this session on the city's website, on the city clerk's marijuana regulations page. And I do want to thank Attorney Murphy and Attorney McDonald for attending the session and answering questions as well. So
one more thing, Clerk
Sure.
Doyle. I did just post the link to the social equity grant program with the state. And if you go to that link, there's a video and a lot of information about the type of grants that the state is doing. I think there was some kind of time deadline on the current program within the last week or two, but if you go to that link, you'll get a lot of information. Then you can always call them and obtain more information.
Well, thank you, Attorney Murphy, for that, and to the people who attended. We hope that this workshop has been helpful for you. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.